Hello, Celebrate Life community. It's my pleasure to speak with you. And on Valentine's Day, a day when people celebrate love, for you, I offer what I hope you'll count as a Valentine's Day present. It's a quick, the highlight list of what I discovered about how to find and keep true love. And I tell you plainly, I asked myself, who do I think I am that you ought to listen to me about love? How do I dare to think I have something valuable enough to share with you about how to get on the path to true love and how to keep it when you find it? I came up with two reasons. Reason number one, because my husband said so. The importance of that being, if a wife, if a wife says they know something about really good love, that's one thing. But when the husband says, oh yeah, she knows about really good love, you might want to give a listen to her. I think that's a more compelling reason to give a listen. And for 16 years, I heard my husband say, you know, you really ought to write the book on how to find and keep true love. You really should share what you know. So I humbly submit to you that that's a pretty good review. So here, I'm finally beginning to do what he said and share. And reason two, in truth, is a little bit tougher, but it still has a happy ending. I simply never thought I'd get to have true love. I'm sharing that truth about myself, and I'm sharing what I figured out that worked for me, because I realized that there are a lot of people whose lives, whose childhoods, for one reason or another, taught them almost inescapably that love is for other people, that we are neither capable nor deserving of having it. And I was pretty certain that I'd never have it, or if love ever fell into my hands, I'd scare it away running. I'm daring to share because since love was possible for me, I'm really happy to think it's possible for others and that they can experience love too. So, story time. My relationships crashed and burned multiple times, including a first marriage. And after a point, I just stopped. I took time to be not by myself. I called it being with myself. To be clear that it was a positive choice. That's the way I worded it. And I decided to study love like an academic subject I really wanted to ace. To analyze love like a scientific problem that I really wanted to figure out. And I figured there must be a way to figure out. And what I discovered was a game changer. And here is the number one thing that started me off and the core piece in truth. Number one, throw an intimate party. And I bet that sounds like lingerie is included, but here's what I mean. Make your life an amazing party, the intimate and extremely cool hangout kind of party, your personal soiree. Have your life be such a great hangout that even if no one else is ever going to show up at your party, you've got to admit you are in excellent company. Be sure to include the interests you truly, deeply enjoy, your favorite things, and savor them. You can use my phrase for it. Make it so good it's juicy. Examples. If you've already hung art in your space, remember to actually look at the art you've hung in your space. If you enjoy watching sports, make an event out of it. Have your favorite foods. Get into the stats. Wear the team jersey. Got a garden? Don't just work in it. Remember to go out in it and sit and enjoy it. Okay. I love Earl Grey tea, double bergamot, with extra lemon and monk fruit sweetener, the healthiest sweetener I could find. And I realized I really love really, really cute teacups. So I made sure to get really, really cute teacups, really cute teapots for one, handmade in Ireland, things like that. So what I'm saying is add in and explore the things that you love. Discover, notice what you enjoy, what works for you. Add in and explore the things you've always liked and been interested in, but haven't done yet. Start putting those in your life. Play around with making lists. Play around with creating a non-bucket bucket list. The goals are to know yourself even better, to move towards being your very own truest best self. Notice what you really like in your life. Okay, and number 2, I call it Be That Book. That's my phrase for it. And I bet you've seen this. It's when you're on the train or you're sitting in a waiting room or you're on a plane and you see someone who is reading a book that they are enjoying so much, so thoroughly enjoying, they're not even thinking about who else is in the room. They aren't even not thinking about who else is in the room. They are just so deeply engrossed in that book they're reading that people start to notice. I mean, have you been on the train and ever seen that? That someone's reading a book they're enjoying so much? People start to look at them. They start to try and see what the title of the book is. Or some people even start to try to look over the person's shoulder to see what's on the page. You be that book. Have a life that you are so enjoying just because you're enjoying it, that people cannot help but wonder, what is going on over there with that person? People may actually ask you, so what do you do? What are you about? What's going on with you? I confess to you that this has happened to me. And the next thing, get some class. And by that, I mean the things that you're interested in, surely do them at home with yourself, but also go do them in the world where you may actually bump into some people. For example, go find a class or a group online even where people are doing or talking about one of your pleasures. Participate, but only as much as you actually want to. There's no need to be extra or force conversation. But if you actually feel like contributing something, or you actually have an observation, go ahead and share it. That way, you'll be being you as you engage with people who have similar interests. And they may not be the person that you're looking for, but they might know somebody who is just the person you're looking for. You might end up with what? New, interesting acquaintances and rich, interesting life. As the phrase goes, how is that not a good plan? And while you're at it, if you are aware that you've always wanted to change or grow out of something, or grow out of something that you feel like was a barrier between you and other people, and finding true love, go take a class in it. Just take classes in the things you've always found interesting. Take a ballroom dancing class, get a coach, get a therapist, get a chiropractor, get a dentist, get a makeover. Not for anyone else though, but for you to be your you. And this is my next tip. And some people call it reframing. I call it re-seeing. So take a look at your old relationships. Look for what was familiar to you. And I really mean familiar, elements of what you were used to in your family of origin. You might not like those things, but because they are so deeply familiar, you might have been including them in your life, even though they really don't work for you. Examples, and this is a made-up example, rocks in your bed. If you grew up with rocks in your mattress, You might not realize you really get to choose to have a comfortable mattress now that you're grown up. And it's okay to get a comfortable mattress. I mean, it reminds me of the African American saying, "You are your ancestors' wildest dreams come true." Your ancestors will be thrilled that someone in the family is finally moving on away from rocks in the mattress to a comfortable bed and a comfortable rest. And while you're doing this, looking at your old loves, at your old relationships, it's a good time to play again with making a list. What must you have in a relationship? No rocks? Check. What's negotiable? For me, I really thought I wanted somebody who was 6'4" with dreadlocks down to their tailbone. It happens I found my true love and he was 5'4" with a shaved head. So some things are negotiable if the rest is there. And when you look at your old relationships, here's something. Look at, instead of beating yourself up about what was wrong with them, look at what they have in common. Start to consider every one of them as an opportunity for you to have grown and for you to learn something. So for example, check this out. If you notice, and I'm making up examples here, if you notice that all of your exes were bullies who were ridiculously jealous and they were serious braggarts, consider that your aim was simply slightly off. That what you were looking for perhaps was someone who's knowledgeable, not a braggart, confident, not a braggart, strong, and makes you feel wanted. So not someone super jealous, but someone who makes you feel wanted. Think about that. And then think about those things that you realize you're actually looking for and how you would define them, and put those on your list. Add that description to your list. I tell you, the time that you spend with yourself while you're waiting to find this true love, these are the things that you get to do with it. That time is not wasted. So while you are playing with this list, be nice to yourself about the fact that your aim was off. It's okay. It's a process. Consider the fact that most of us started looking for love when we were teenagers. So what did we know? And we just added on to that from there. So you're on to something new now, and you'll probably continue to fine tune that list as you realize new things that you'd actually enjoy in your mate or in your mates. Because this doesn't have to just be for monogamous relationships. This could be for whatever you realize you're looking for. And here's the cool thing about realizing what you're looking for and coming up with your playlist. I call it the yellow station wagon theory. If someone said to you, "Have you noticed any yellow station wagons?" You'd probably say, "No." But now that you're thinking about yellow station wagons, when they pass by you, you'll notice them just because they're more, I guess, top of mind. So by knowing better what you're looking for, you'll notice it when it's in your orbit, when it's near you. Okay, now re-see yourself too. Take a look at yourself and be kind. Notice your own tendencies. Notice what's true about you that's not going to change, and work with it. So if you're really tall, plan on talking to people who like tall people. Don't talk to people who don't like tall people. How can you win there? If you don't like smokers, or they're okay, but you do not wish to have a smoker in your world, do not talk to smokers. Do not date a smoker. If you need your space, date people who like an independent partner, who are not only tolerating the fact that you like your own space, but they dig it, they get it. Oh, and if you're clingy, if you are downright needy, find someone who wants to be needed. Find someone who loves someone to cling to them. who's always with them. This is something that I call the Carl Sagan concept. He was this scientist who had this way of speaking, and he had this thing he often said, billions and billions, or millions and millions. Well, there are billions and millions of people on the planet. So if you're clear about what works for you, guess what? There's probably a few people out there who like exactly what it is you are. Okay. Here's the thing about re-seeing yourself. By doing it, by being your own truest best self, taking classes just for the joy of it, enjoying what you enjoy, and really savoring what you enjoy, there won't be anything extra for you to do if someone sees you while you're being your truest self. Because when they see you and they're attracted to you, they'll be attracted to you while you're being you. So there won't be anything new you have to do. Just keep on being yourself. Okay. Do the math. This really worked for me. And this is math you never thought, in fact, you probably swore as a kid you would never use again outside of the classroom. It's something called an if-then statement. Here are my examples. If they cheat on their mate with you, then they'd probably cheat on you with somebody else. If they lie to other people, then they probably lie to you. If they're mean to cats and puppies and old people and small children, then probably at some point you're going to find out that they're mean to you. And the opposite, if they're lovely to everybody or they're lovely to people and kind, then they're probably going to be kind and lovely with you also. Okay, this is a thing I discovered while I was trying to figure out love, while I was attending a wedding. I call it do the receiving line handshake. So as you start to meet people, because you're being yourself and being out in the world, practice doing the receiving line handshake. I call it, it's a thing you've seen at formal events, like at wedding receptions. Be ready to say, hello, nice to meet you, and keep going. Hello, nice to meet you, and keep going. Hello, nice to meet you, and keep going. I'm not even kidding. Practice this, because if a person isn't a match for you, it's lovely to meet them, but let it go. Practice the receiving line handshake and let them go. And be kind to yourself. This is something I call expecting change. Okay. People seldom change overnight. It is not reasonable or fair to expect yourself to do a full 180 in no time flat. So be kind to yourself, but expect change. You might keep being drawn to what's familiar to you, at least for a while, or what's not a fit for you. Kindly let those people go once you realize it's your old pattern. Just require of yourself that each person, each engagement, each interaction is a little more what you want, is a little further away from what doesn't fit you. I had to say this to myself. I wasn't going to make a change overnight, but every time I spoke to someone, I expected of myself that they would be a little bit more of what I was looking for. And what I found is that over time, I ended up only talking to really awesome people. And then all there was to do was to recognize from my heart the one that just spoke to me the most. And that is what I think you can expect also. If you keep on saying no, gently, to what does not work for you, so they can go find what works for them. You are saying yes to what does work for you. And you're going to end up in a metaphoric room of people who are just your kind of people. And then you'll end up with the person who is just your one. So, suggestions when you're dating: see them as a potential friend. I don't know about you, but when I used to date, I'd be so nervous. I'd be so on. Something would get knocked over. Something would get spilled. And what I decided to do was, since I realized most times you date people, it's probably not going to be the forever person anyway, consider that this might be a true friend. And how seldom and how rare and how precious are true friends. So be present, listen, and interact as if this could be a new friend, because we listen differently and we interact differently when it's friendship that's possible. All right, and you wouldn't want to miss out on a new true friend. And I'm almost done, but let me tell you this. Enjoy the angst and the drama if you can, even some of the longing and the loneliness. These are the epic stories that you'll remember when you're nearly 100 years old, about how you sought for and crossed the burning sands to find true love. See that as your epic, not as the problem. Okay. And here's about keeping true love. A lot of what I said for finding true love applies for keeping true love. If you're in a relationship, go ahead and be your truest best self. If your relationship is kind of faltering, go ahead and be your truest best self. It may be that if you're already happy, that your partner or partners dig you even more. They're like, oh my gosh, they just love you being you. And if you're in a relationship where it seems like it's faltering, you being even more yourself might be just what they were looking for, just what they wanted to see. So, say what you need in your relationship. Because even for psychics, mind reading isn't always that easy. Okay? So say what you need and say what you want. Oh, know yourself. Know your sensitive spots and your old fears and the hurts that you've had from others. That way you can make sure that they aren't getting in the way of you seeing who you're with now. When in doubt or upset, put yourself in the other person's shoes. Ask what you would do if you were them. Oh, okay. This is a good one. Ask your mate or your mates what they would most like in bed. Ask them, what is their heart's desire to have in bed or in play or in their life? At the very least, they will be probably thankful and thrilled, kind of, that you thought to ask that of them, that you cared enough to ask them. No matter what they answer, bear in mind the honor that it is that they are trusting you with what is in their heart that perhaps they've never told anyone before. Bear in mind how awesomely cool it is that you're in a relationship where your partner would tell you what they want, what they really always wished for and never spoke because no one ever asked them. Give thanks that you actually have a clue of what could actually give them just such thrills. And I say this because it applies to other things as well. If there's something they'd enjoy and it's no skin off your nose, let your love have it. And have fun providing it, and give thanks that you get to give your love what they truly want. I mean, let's be honest, the likelihood is that the conversation will also come around at some point to them asking you, what would you truly love in your life, in bed and out? All right. Oh, yes. And remember, just like in the beginning, enjoy your happiness, savor it, and savor their happiness and your own. Savor their happiness as your own. And here's another piece of math. Do this math. I call it the law of the 100s. 100 plus 100 equals 100. None of that 50, I'll bring out my 50% added to your 50% will make us 100. No, bring 100% of yourself joyfully to their 100% of themselves and build a joyful life out of that. Bring 100% of yourself to the table. Give 100% of yourself in love. And this is a good one to remember, even when they've kind of gotten on your nerves, when you kind of want to withdraw. Give 100%. And this is another piece of math, but it's about the rational thing. Love makes sense. Just like you won't fall in love with a doorknob, an old horseshoe, or a nail file, because it doesn't make any sense. Expect that your love, your true love, will also make sense. That it'll be rational, that they won't be a doorknob, a horseshoe, an abuser, or a lampshade. And how this all comes around, back to the beginning, how it is that even getting on the path of this is a joy for your own life, is because to find your true love, it works best, it seems to me, that you've got to be your own true self. So, to find your truest, best love, you've got to be, you get to be your truest, best self. And to me, what an amazing universe that you don't get to escape responsibility for your own joy in looking for joy elsewhere and in looking for love. What an elegant equation it seems to me that the path to finding your true love is the path to being your own truest self. And if you're having joy in your life and a party so good that even if no one else happens to come and join it, you know you're in awesome, excellent company and kind of having a blast, how is that not a good idea? How is that not fun? How is that not a good plan? Happy Valentine's Day. May you have abundant, joyful, juicy love in your life.